So we're gonna do some alfalfa scouting. I want to say this is week, it doesn't matter, you're gonna get it when you get it. I think it's week 4 is what we have on the syllabus. So what we're in, this is the same wheat or same alfalfa field that we were in for crops class. So this alfalfa field, it's alfalfa, timothy, and orchard grass mix for what we're looking at on here. So if we were looking at it for us, we don't do just straight alfalfa, so it's hard to get just a straight alfalfa field in this area. So how we're going to scout this is we're going to look at what can take the pounds that we put on and then how many plants we should have per square foot on this. So you got a 3-foot hula hoop. This is the easy way to do it. You take your 3-foot hula hoop and you just launch it anywhere in the field. So we're going to stay pretty close to the edge of the field, and then we'll do a count on what's in here. This stuff is pretty wicked. It should have been cut about 2 weeks ago, but it rains every day, so that's not going to happen when it rains every day. So since we haven't cut it 2 weeks ago, and we had this problem 2 weeks ago, actually we had this problem 3-4 weeks ago, bug identification, insect IDing on this. This is where the crickets start to sound. So that is your alfalfa weevil, guys and gals. So this is going to be the adult form of the weevil. If you go back to the slideshow and look at it, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we had the worms. So we had the larvae. The little big green worms kind of look like maggots. And this is the damage that they're doing to the alfalfa, which is starting to come out of it. So the growth is starting to rejuvenate itself. You can see the holes, and this is what your alfalfa weevils, this is what they go after. So you can see, and the leaves are the bread and butter for your alfalfa. So whenever you're looking at the stems are gonna, pack some protein in it too, but your leaves, the more leaves you have, the better off you're gonna be with it. And this is what's a kicker as well. So you see the bloom on this, just by scanning this, we're well above that 25% bloom, and we should be at 5% on the cutting. So we're way past where it needs to be at, but this is a brand new stand, so I don't want to get in here and tear it up. I'd much rather leave it and kind of lose some protein versus tearing it up, because this is the first year for it. So anyway, that's some insect damage, and like I said, what you're out, the wrongs, the don'ts for the alfalfas. So we don't want to do the don'ts for it. So it should have been cut a long time ago. I know those guys over in Clinton County, dairy guys have probably definitely got the first cutting, needed to get the first cutting done, and the second cutting is probably there pretty close to it, I bet, by looking at some of that. Anyway, Aaron's helped me film again on this one, so appreciate the help on that. So let's do the stand count here on what we're looking at, or kind of do some digesting on what we're looking at for this alfalfa. So we got a 3-foot hula hoop. This is the easiest way that I can explain this. So go back to crops class and what we looked at. So for every square foot, we're going to need to have roughly 20 to 25 plants. That's on a pure alfalfa stand. If we are looking at a grass alfalfa mixture, we want to drop that poundage down to about 15, and that's what we have here. So we have 15 pounds of alfalfa that was sown, and then we're going to have about 5 pounds of orchard grass and 5 pounds of timothy. What you're seeing here, this stuff is the orchard grass that popped up. So for the orchard grass is a cool season crop. That's the first one that's going to come up on the grasses. Your timothy is this stuff that's going to be down here. So timothy hasn't have a head on it yet. It will. Your timothy, once this heads out, this will look like kind of a cattail is what your timothy will look like. So it's a small head. It'll probably be your 2-3 inches is what your timothy head will look like, and it'll look just like a small cattail. Your orchard grass will bloom first, so it's a cool season crop. So this is when we get our first grasses off of it, and then this won't come. They're both perennials, so both your timothy and your orchard grass are both perennials, but this won't come back as thick as what your timothy will come back. So the second and third cutting, we'll have some timothy that's going to be popped in with it, and then the orchard grass will just be pretty small on it. So when we're looking at this 3-foot ring, and like I said, we just kind of threw it out here. So we're probably a little, because we're on the edge of the field, we're probably a little weak on the alfalfa side of it, and probably a little bit thicker on the grass side. And when we count this, so what you would want to see on this for, let's say if we do have, and we did have that 15 plants per acre on it. So we sowed, let's back up here a little bit. So for every pound you stick on a field, so we stuck 15 pounds of alfalfa per field, that means we should have 20 plants that come up in a new, 15 to 20 plants that come up in a new stand. Because what that alfalfa number is going to do, that alfalfa stand count is just going to keep on going down every year. So in that 5 years, to have a good, still have a good vigorous stand, you still want to have about that 5 to 6 plants per square foot, if that makes any sense at all. So we have a 3-foot hula hoop ring. We have the 15 plants per square foot. So you do your math on this. So you take your 15 and you times it by 3. So we do have this. So if we count here, we're going to have that 45 plants. We got a big cluster of plants right here. Just rough guess on this, and you're counting the stems is what you're counting. So I would say there's 30 right here, and then we probably have another 15 to 20 over here on this side. And like I said, there's still a lot that's just kind of coming up on the alfalfa, or on the grass side. So counting the stems of your grass here, so we have, there's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So on the grass side, we'll only put 5 pounds of grass seed on of the 5 pounds of Timothy and 5 pounds of orchard grass. That's about what we want to have for it, because we don't want to get that too thick, because this is the bread and butter that we're looking at is that alfalfa. So this is going to be where your protein is going to be coming from. So the stuff that this usually goes to is going to be your beef producers, and it's also the hay burners, horses. So sorry, horse people out there. They like this stuff. The pure alfalfa, when you start getting that 22% protein, that's a little bit too potent for hay burners. They don't need that stuff anyway. That's just money down the pit. But this is, so for your alfalfa, to kind of wrap things up here, you don't want it to look like this. That's what you don't want to look like. The weevils have just demolished this. We're still going to have a pretty good stand on it. And usually your first cutting of alfalfa, if you start seeing weevils, the best thing is just to get the mower conditioner out and start chopping it versus spraying it on your first cutting. Now you start getting to the second, third, fourth cutting, and you start seeing some weevils. That's when you probably want to maybe get some Warrior out to spray that insecticide. But that Warrior has a 7-day re-entry fee. So if I were to come in and spray this today, I would have to wait 7 days before I would chop, or before we cut it and bale it up. So on this, it's too quick of a turnaround for that. So this is what you don't want. You don't want to see it like this, but Mother Nature, you can't control it sometimes. So if you see all those holes, that's what you don't want. And you don't want very many of those blooms. So max of 5% on these blooms across the field. And the dairy guys, once they start seeing that first bloom, they're chopping it. They don't want to see that first bloom, because that's where your protein kind of starts going down after that. And usually they're on a 30-day cycle anyway. So they just have it on their calendar, say, hey, we're going to cut it. We're going to cut it and get it out and wrap it up, because they use that for their high quality feed. So in your 3-foot, or in a foot, I should say, in a square foot area on a field, pure alfalfa, you want somewhere between that 20 to 25 plants, because that's what you're sowing. You're sowing 20 to 25 pounds of alfalfa. This is in a new field. Once you start getting the older fields, that number is going to start dropping down. And then in a alfalfa grass mixture like we have here, we sowed 15 pounds of alfalfa. So that means we want 15 plants per square foot. And like I said, the 3-foot hula hoop is the easiest. This is the easiest way. Or you can go make a little 2-foot or 2, or a 1-foot box and just launch it out there, and you can count what you have. So in a field like this, you want to do the same thing. So you want to do 3 counts to get your average. The bigger fields, you can, once you start getting above that 40-acre field, then you can drop that down to 4 counts, or anything over that 40 acres, you can start dropping that down as well. But you want to get a good average, and don't pick, like I said, don't pick the best part of the field either. It's good to start, make you feel puffy chest, but then you got to get out here and get these weak areas in here as well. Alfalfa is another one of those crops that it doesn't like to have standing water. So if you can get this on rolling ground, this is what works good for our farm here, is we got kind of highly erodible ground. You can see there's waterways that are out there, which is horrible to cut around, but get those thorn trees poke you in the back whenever you're breaking it. It always wakes you up. Anyhow, so that's what we have for our alfalfa group. So you want per foot on a grass alfalfa mixture, roughly 15 plants of alfalfa. In a pure stand, that 20 to 25, and that goes along with your pounds that you put on per that field. So check the blackboard. We'll have some notes on this. That way you can hopefully answer some of those questions, and hopefully go out and look and see if you can't find some alfalfa out there. Clinton County is a good spot to go look for good alfalfa. Those are good spots. So those of you right around, stop in the field. You might get shot at, but they'll be okay with it. So, all right, adios.